Hey Beauty, I'm so excited for this episode. I speak with Lori Morris. She talks about her CBD farm, some myths about CBD, the amazing health benefits of CBD, and we also talk about the endocannabinoid system, which very interestingly was only discovered in the last 25 years or so. It's my opinion that scientists and the medical field, we know very little about the human body, which is why I think it's so important to go to God first when it comes to our health, because He's our creator. He's the one who knows the most about our bodies, right? I'm bringing this up because back in 2020, God gave me an idea for a book, and I'm just about ready to publish it. You'll be hearing more about the book as time goes on. I'm just about to hire an amazing editor, an amazing book cover designer. So if you are willing to help me launch this book to get it into as many hands as possible, I would love your help. But until then, you can help by leaving a review for the show if you have not done yet. That really helps show the podcasting platforms that you all are listening, and it will help get the podcast out to more people. So I would be so grateful if you would leave a review for the show. With all that being said, let's get into the show. Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. Do you want more energy and less anxiety so that you can do all the things? Are you searching for meal ideas, essential oils, and other holistic treatments? Do you wish you could know which direction to take with your health so that you could finally feel better? Hey, I'm Alexandra. I love Jesus. I'm a wife, mom of 3, and registered nurse with years of experience in clinical research. I also wanted more energy so that I could have more fun and keep up with my growing child. I too was confused about all the different diet and treatment options. I too wanted to wake up every day and feel good, but I felt anxious because I couldn't solve the mystery of my health. Until God showed me that He is the source of true healing. In this podcast, you will learn holistic treatments and Bible truths that will lead you to the peace, joy, and freedom that you have been hoping for. So what do you say we take a break from the mind-numbing humdrum busyness? Let's rest and let God be our healer and helper. Hey Lori, welcome to the show. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Alexandra, thank you so much for having me. And a little bit about me. My name is Lori Morris. I am a mom to 3. AJ is 8, Ruby's 7, Abby's 5, and husband to Andrew. We live in Livingston, Tennessee. We own a CBD farm, as we'll talk about today. I'm also a certified nurse midwife. I'm not working as one currently because I'm home with my kids, homeschooling and doing all those things. But so that's also another hat that I wear. I've been a nurse almost 20 years, I guess. And then a nurse midwife. I became a nurse midwife in 2016, I think. I can't remember. So that's me.
Nice. I am a huge fan of nurse midwives. I also have 3 kids and I gave birth with a midwife. So I love midwives.
Yay! Awesome. Very good. I love to hear that. Love to hear it. Yeah.
So what led you to start growing CBD on your farm?
So back in, I guess it was 2018, my husband and I, we all lived, or my family, we lived in Hermitage, Tennessee, and we were looking to get out of there. The growth was a little much, and we were trying to get somewhere a little bit more out in the country. And we were trying to find something where we could make a living out in the country because, you know, it's pretty hard to make a living farming and things like that. And right about that time, the Farm Bill of 2018 came through. And so my husband started doing research about growing hemp. I'd never really heard much about it, didn't know, just figured it was something he was going to read about and then it wasn't going to happen. Well, I was wrong. We decided to, we bought a farm, bought a house with some land out here in Livingston. And that spring, he started growing it. And we have since built a small business. We grow our own hemp. We grow it all using organic practices. And then we actually do all the processing ourselves as well. So it all stays in our hands, the whole process from start to finish. And we make our own line of products.
So did you know about the health benefits of CBD before you started it, or did you have experience with it?
I didn't before at all. I didn't know anything about it. I learned a lot along the way. Obviously, he says he's going to start growing this. I got to figure out what this is because it's a partnership here, and I was going to be doing a lot of the sales and that kind of thing. And so I started doing the research, and I was amazed and kind of annoyed that I hadn't known about it because as a Christian, and I guess I forgot to mention that part in my bio, also a Christian. And that's very important to me. I just thought it was weed, just thought it was it was just one more way for people to try to get high legally. And I was wrong, very wrong. And I was very aggravated that I had gotten such bad info for so long. So I started doing the research and realizing that this stuff is really it works. It's great. And the reason it's great is because our bodies have a system that works right along with it. Like it's like they were made for each other. Imagine that, right? And so that was what really led me down the road of learning about it because I'd heard a little bit about it just because it had been in the news, but I didn't really know much. And since I've learned a whole lot, obviously.
So when you were learning about CBD in the past, where did you get that information from and where did you go to do your research about it?
So in the past, I didn't really know much about it. Like I said, I just heard, maybe little snippets here and there, maybe on the news or something like that. I just kind of ignored it again because I just assumed it was marijuana. I just thought that's what it was and kind of blew it off. So once I started seeing that it was, oh, this stuff is legal. Okay, well, we need to, and maybe it's actually a viable option to grow. I got some books. I did some research online, obviously, as well. Just searching online here and there. And I did find though that it is hard to get good information and because there is a lot of misinformation out there. So, but I ended up kind of settling on a few books that are good, kind of how-to basic handbooks that gave me some good information and reading some medical articles. Again, with my background as a nurse, I wanted to know the medical side of it and make sure that it was legitimate. So, a little mix of several places.
So what are some common misconceptions about CBD? I know that you thought it was basically marijuana. Are there other misconceptions?
Well, that's the big one. That's the big one. And it's partially because really looking at the two plants, you can't tell the difference. If you look at a hemp plant next to a marijuana plant, they look identical. They're cousins, but they're not the same. So CBD has been bred to have a very low level of THC, which is the cannabinoid that makes you high, that gives you the psychoactive effect. I'm sorry, THC. Let me correct that. Hemp has been bred to have a high level of CBD, which does not get you high. It does not have the psychoactive effect. Whereas marijuana has been bred to have a high THC. That's the one that gets you high. So they look the same. It's just that they have been bred to have higher levels of one versus the other. So that's the big one. That if you use anything from the hemp plant, that it's going to cause you to have that high, the intoxication, loss of sobriety. That's really the hugest one that I've heard from people. The other one I would say is that it's not legal. Most people or a lot of people think that it's still not legal. And the Farm Bill of 2018 made it federally legal. There's still a couple of states that regulate it and won't let you use it or grow it or different things. But most states now you can use CBD.
And does the CBD that you grow, does it have trace amounts of THC or no THC whatsoever?
Year to year, it varies, and we have to have it tested every time we grow it. The products that we're now selling, like our current stock, is coming from our hemp that had actually non-detectable levels of Delta 9. So Delta 9 is the level that the government tests for whether it's legal or not. So that hemp was actually non-detectable. It doesn't mean it wasn't there. It was just so low that the testing wouldn't pick it up. Year to year, it might be a little bit higher, but it cannot be used if it's over 0.3%. So it's all under 0.3% of the whole dry weight.
Where do you guys do the testing?
There's independent third parties that do it. We have to do at least one test through the state of Tennessee as part of the industrial hemp program through the state. So they come out and take their samples and do it. It used to be done by the state. I believe they have a third party now as well that does it. And then there's lots of other labs. So we usually will do a few independent tests of our own, because the test that you get through the state it just gives you that Delta 9 level, which is good. You want to know that level, but it doesn't give you the whole breakdown of all the different cannabinoids, which so many of them have different health benefits. So it's good to know what all cannabinoids are present in your hemp, and then also the level of your actual CBD, what percentage, how high it is, because the more cannabinoids you have, the more powerful your product is going to be.
So, what are some of the major benefits of CBD?
Oh, there's so many. So just a little background. Our bodies have in them something called the endocannabinoid system. It was recently discovered. It's been there all along, obviously, but it just recently was discovered by scientists. And so you hear that word cannabinoid, that's just a big fancy word that is talking about all the little molecules that grow on that hemp plant. So the big one, the one that has the most percentage in most products today is CBD, which is cannabidiol, just one of the cannabinoids. And so when you take our bodies make their own cannabinoids anyway, but a lot of times that system is not functioning properly. And that system is there to actually give you balance. So if you have a physical trauma or even a mental trauma, it actually will kick in and make its own cannabinoids to help get you back into balance. So it's a really, really cool system. Unfortunately, our health, or maybe I should say lack of health in this country, that system has kind of taken a blow, and it doesn't work as efficiently in some people. And so taking the cannabinoids by mouth or in other routes, but mainly by mouth, will help to stimulate that system to start working right again. And so that is where the benefits come from. So it is very good for pain. And the reason, so a lot of people will say, oh, it sounds like snake oil. Like, why did it can't do all these things? It can. And the reason is because the receptors for that system are all over your body. You've got them in your brain. You've got them in your skin. You've got them in your joints. You've got them in your muscles. They're everywhere. And so it really can do all these things. So it helps a lot with pain, especially pain that is inflammatory at the source. It comes from inflammation. It's very good for inflammation, getting that back to a balanced state. It helps with sleep a lot. In fact, a lot of people will start taking it for the pain, and the first thing they notice is the sleep, because the pain might take a few extra days before you get the results for the pain. But day one, you're like, man, I slept good last night. You know what I mean? So it's very good for sleep. And it also helps a lot with anxiety. Again, I mentioned how it helps your body get back into homeostasis, or that's just a fancy word for balance, keeping that balance. So anxiety is taking those mental traumas, right? The mental hits, just one thing after another, and it's just really hard to kind of manage it all. So the CBD helps your system to be able to just deal with it, balance, get, smooth out. And I'll tell you a funny story. This isn't exactly anxiety, but it's just the stress of life. When we very first started, we made our first round of CBD oil, and I was taking it, but I didn't really think I had pain. I didn't really think I needed it. I was just taking it because, we're making it. I'm supposed to take it, right? So I took it a few days, and then I stopped. Or I told my husband, I remember he was sitting over in the living room, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to take this anymore. It's not doing anything for me. And he looks at me and grins, and he goes, you haven't yelled at the kids all day. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I just laughed. I was like, you're right. It just helps you to just kind of bring it down a notch. You know what I mean? Like I said, I stay home with my 3 kids all the time. They are not the quiet kids. They are the loud, rambunctious, talk, constantly kids. And so it gets to be a bit much some days. And he was like, yep, you didn't yell at them all day. I was like, okay, that's a big win. Something else that was actually kind of funny is that my foot had been hurting, and I thought it was just because I'd gotten some new shoes, except for I hadn't gotten new shoes. I don't know why I thought that's what it was, but I did. And I had noticed that pain stopped, but I just thought I'd kind of gotten used to them. And I quit taking the CBD for a few days, and the foot pain came back. I'm like, well, how about that? It was working. It was what was helping it. Now, since then, whatever was causing that pain has been healed. So that's good. But yeah, it was pretty neat how both of the things that I was taking it for, or thought I was, the results I got, I should say, I didn't really even notice them. It was my husband that noticed it. And we have customers that actually will come And like maybe I haven't heard from them in a while, and I'll hear from them, and they'll say, "Yeah, my husband told me it's time for me to get some more CBD. He said it's time." So sometimes it's not you that notices it, it's the other people. But for the pain, obviously, you're going to notice it. For the sleep, you're going to notice it, um, yourself. But then there are other effects that other people will notice around you.
That's really cool. I feel like I really want to. I've never tried it actually, but I really want to try it.
Yeah,
Are
it's
there,
it's great. It's like I said, it's balancing. It helps you just to be where you're supposed to be. And it's not a be all end all. It's a tool that God gives us. So, I've heard people forever say that, marijuana is a gift from God. And I couldn't balance that in my head because he's so clear in the Bible about not being losing your sobriety. You need to be sober minded, right? And you can't do that if you're intoxicated. So I always thought there's no way. But this is actually a thing that does give you that balance without losing your sobriety. You're able to have the sober minded mentality that you need to have to not make bad decisions in life, to not do dumb stuff, right? And so if it was not a tool that God wanted us to use, why did he put that system in our bodies the cannabinoids fit like a hand in a glove with the receptors? Obviously that's there for a reason. And whether or not you use CBD products, your body is making cannabinoids itself. It's just that it doesn't always do that efficiently. And so sometimes having the extra cannabinoids from the plants will also give you that boost to make it work a little bit better.
should users be concerned at all with becoming addicted to it?
No, it's not addictive. In fact, some people use it to help with addiction. It's been used anecdotally to treat addiction, which is pretty neat little side note. There are all kinds of anecdotal uses that people have had awesome results with. The four I mentioned earlier, just the kind of the big four, the ones that usually people come looking for me because of those four. But there's all kinds of other side things. And one of the things is it can help. There's some research that suggests it can help you to fight addictions to other substances. The only reason I say that it's addictive, it's not that it's addictive that if you stop taking it, you're going to have withdrawals. It's that if you stop taking it, you're going to miss it because you're going to miss the balance. Like I said, when, my husband said I wasn't yelling at the kids, my kids will miss it, my husband might miss it. So you miss it, but if you miss a couple of days, you're not going to like have the shakes or, sweats or anything like that. There's no addiction like that.
So how does someone get started with CBD?
The best way to start with a CBD is first you want to find a reputable company. Obviously, when it became legal, there's CBD everywhere, right? You can get the gas station, you can get it, everywhere. And because you can get it everywhere, there can be anything in it, and you just really don't know what you're getting. It's not the a very regulated industry, and that's bad and good. It's good because it allows the little guy to be in business. It's bad because you don't know exactly what you're getting beyond just if it's legal or not, because you should be able to verify that. So you always want to find a company that you trust. That's one of the reasons why, like our company, we're a small company. We our big thing is being the little guy, and us. Because you can trust us, and because we're Christians, you can trust our morals and our honesty, because we're not gonna put something in there, because we value our honesty and our integrity far more than we value selling something. You know what I mean? So you want to find a company you trust, and then you want to kind of figure out where you want to get in as far as dosage. So a lot of people who will say that CBD doesn't work usually aren't taking enough. You've probably seen bottles that say like 250 milligrams or 300 milligrams. That's a very, very low dose. And you're going to have to take a lot of drops to get an effective dose at that concentration. So our lowest that we make is actually 1,000 milligrams. And that means that's 1,000 milligrams in the entire bottle. And then on the front, it tells you how many milligrams per drop. Usually for females of an average size, I'll start them at 1,000 milligrams. And everybody that starts, I give you a little sheet that has instructions on how to adjust your dose, because I don't want to start you too high because you don't need the extra and you're wasting your money. I want to start you as close to what I think you're going to need as possible. And then I give you instructions about kind of how to ease into your dose if you need a little bit more, how to figure out what it is that you need. Because we go to the doctor and they give us drugs and they say, take 2 of these twice a day. And they never adjust it for your body weight or your metabolism or anything like that. All of our metabolisms are different. So this is a way that I can kind of ease into what your metabolism is and figure out what it is that you need. For men or women who are a little bit bigger, I'll start them usually around 1,500 or so. And all that just means is there's more milligram per drop. The bottle's just got more CBD in it. So we offer 3 different concentrations. We offer 1,000 milligram, 1,500 milligram, and 2,000 milligram. The 2,000 is actually the strongest concentration we offer, but then there's also a 3,000 milligram bottle, but that one's just more volume. It's basically 2 bottles of the 1,500. And I know that can be a little bit confusing, but I do the math on the website. I show you how it all works out. So that's the first thing, is to decide your concentration, how strong you need it to be. And so I say if I start a female, usually around 1,000 milligrams, but if it's a female that has chronic severe pain, I'm obviously going to bump higher because she's going to need more. So there's a kind of a balance where you kind of figure it out. And then also you want to figure out your flavor. So hemp is a wonderful thing. Some people like the flavor. Most people don't. It's very earthy, hempy. It has this very distinct flavor. So we offer natural, which has no flavor added. And then we also have peppermint and cinnamon, where we add therapeutic grade essential oils just to kind of mask that yucky flavor. Our cinnamon tastes to me like Big Red gum, if you remember that gum, and then peppermint just tastes like peppermint. So you just decide, which flavor you like the best.
And do you have any gummies, or is it just liquid?
So we don't do gummies, and here's why I don't do gummies. I've made gummies before for my kids, just of like fruit juice and things like that. And they're very, very hard to keep from getting moldy and keep them shelf stable at room temperature without adding chemicals. And I am I guess I should have added this in the bio too. I'm that crunchy mom. You probably got it off of the midwife part, but I don't like to add chemicals. I don't like to add anything that's not necessary. So in order to make a gummy shelf stable, I have to add those things. So we haven't done gummies at this point, but here's the thing about gummies. They're easy. But a gummy is the exact dose of whatever is in that gummy. You can't adjust it. And the active ingredient in that gummy is the same thing that's in our bottles of CBD. So with the CBD, you can adjust it. If you just need an extra drop or two, maybe you've sprained your ankle and you need a little extra, pain relief, things like that. You can adjust it up and down. Whereas with a gummy, you get what's in the gummy and that's it. So really, an oil is a better option when you're taking it by mouth.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because there's so many supplements on the market that are in gummy form, but I usually opt not to take those because of what you said. There's usually things that are added, or I just feel like it's not as effective.
So many times in our world, when you get convenience, you're giving up something. In order to get that convenience, you're giving up something, whether it be things that are added or things that are left out. I mean, I could go on and on about that. Don't get me started, like what's wrong with our bread and all the things because you give up the convenience. I mean, for the convenience of having it there and ready right when you need it, you're giving something up. So when you have a product that's got real live ingredients in it, when you leave them at room temperature, eventually you're going to have, and when I say real live ingredients, I mean, a gummy is going to have like a sugary type of a thing that's going to grow things eventually. Our CBD doesn't, because there's none of that in there. It's just organic MCT oil, our full spectrum hemp extract, and then flavoring if you have that added, the essential oils. But a gummy's got other stuff in it and it's going to grow. So if you want to keep that growth from happening, you're going to have to put chemicals in it. And I don't want to put those in my body.
Right. And to me, I just feel like, why don't we just leave things the way that God created them? Because they were best that way.
Imagine that. And speaking of which, you actually can use hemp in a smokable form to take it back to the very rawest form. And some people do. And it's great for like breakthrough anxiety because it's a very fast delivery. The nice thing about the oils is just you don't have to vaporize it or smoke it or anything like that. And the way that it gets processed, gets processed down to this really thick tarry substance that's called an extract. And that's just taken, like when you look at a hemp plant up close, it's got these little crystally looking things on it. It's just taking those crystally things off and putting them in a form that it's just, you take them in your mouth.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So can you expand upon that? What does the processing look like?
It looks like a science experiment. Like think back to like high school, like what am I trying to say? Like the distillation and things like that. My husband does all that. I don't really get into it too much. I see him doing it, but it gets soaked. And then at first, like once that process is done, it's really because it's just soaking the whole plant, and it looks very dirty. Okay. Well, then he takes that and he puts it through, I don't know how many different filtering processes. It goes through like what am I trying? Oh, diatomaceous earth. He uses charcoal and different things like that. It filters through, and when it gets through with those filtering, it looks kind of like apple juice. So it'll be in the refrigerator, and it looks like apple juice. But then he takes that liquid, which is got all the cannabinoids in it, and he takes it and he literally distills it. He boils it to where all the liquid comes off, and what's left is just the cannabinoids. So it's just like back in science class in high school when, you're separating things and all that. And it's funny because he like recaptures it. It's like I said, he does that. He does all the making, he does the growing and the processing and making the extract. He makes the oils, and then I make all the topical stuff. So we didn't really get into topicals a lot, but topical is another way you can use it, especially like for skin irritations, pain that's close to the surface. It's a great antioxidant. And obviously we talked about using it for pain as well. So that's another way. So I make all those topical products from the extract that he makes. So it's kind of a team effort, but I don't really get into the processing stuff. That's his thing.
That's really cool. I'm so excited to try the CBD. Can you tell our listeners how they can find you, and if they're interested in trying CBD, how they can get it in their hands?
Sure. So I have a podcast. It's called CBD and You. Just launched back in November. So right now I'm really going through a lot of the basics. It's a great place to go learn more if you've been intrigued a little bit and want to go learn more about it. It's CBD and You, and that's over Apple Podcasts, Podbean, any of the places that you listen to podcasts. You can check that out there. And when you go listen to that, I do have a discount code in there for if you want to give it a try. So go check that out. If you just want to go to the store and just see what we have, there's two ways to get there. I'm going to give you the easier way maybe to spell it. I didn't even mention the name of our farm. It's Alara Ridge Farm. And that Alara is all of our names in acronym. It's Andrew, Lori, AJ, Ruby, Abby, our whole family. So, and we live on a ridge, like back behind me is a big hill, and it's got a ridge up at the top. So Alara Ridge. So you can go to shop.Alara Ridge Farm. So ALARARIDGEFARM.com, or just LivingstonCBD.com. And it goes to the same place. It's just a little bit easier. LivingstonCBD.com.
Thank you so much. I will put that information in the show notes. Thanks again so much, Lori. This has been just such a treat for me.
Thank you, Alexandra. And if anybody has questions, if it's just too much, when you go to the website and email us, or if you just email info@alararidgefarm.com, it comes to me. It's just me. It's me and him. We're the whole company. So you're not going through like a whole customer service department. It's coming to me. So if you have questions, please just reach out. I'll be happy to help you. I love helping people get started because it's just such a wonderful thing. And I hate, especially mamas. And I know that's probably a lot of your audience is mamas. We're a lot of times home struggling, and we don't need to struggle. And this is a great thing that God has given us to help us just keep that balance and maybe not lose our minds and be able to be good, happy mamas and not stressed out, screaming mamas. Right.
Yeah. That'd be great.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much again, Lori.
Thank you so much.
I really hope that you enjoyed that interview with Lori. After we were done with the interview, Lori emailed me, and she wanted to explain why she leaves the THC in her product. So I'm just going to read to you what she emailed to me, because I think it explains it really well. She says there are two reasons why she leaves the THC in her products. The first is that it is very expensive to remove it because of the equipment and process involved, but that's not the most important reason. The main reason is that CBD oil works better when it has all of the naturally occurring cannabinoids in their original proportions. It's something called the entourage effect, which means that the cannabinoids work together best when they are in their naturally occurring proportions. The sum is greater than its parts. Think 1 + 1 = 3. You get more results with a lower amount when everything is left as it naturally grows. If you take any of the cannabinoids away, it takes more of what's left to get the same benefit. So if you choose a product that is broad spectrum, which means that the THC has been removed, or it is made from a CBD isolate, which means everything but the CBD has been removed, you have to take more of those products to get the same benefit as you would a lower dose of a full spectrum product which has had nothing removed. So I hope that clears some things up for you. She also said that she has a coupon code for all of you. The coupon code is holistic. I will also leave a special link in the show notes. So if you're interested in trying her CBD oil, go to her website and put in the code holistic or click on the special link in the show notes. I will talk to you guys soon. I'm so glad that you took the time to listen today. If you like what you heard, will you leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that this show can reach more people? And if you want to connect with me, go to herholistichealing.com. Before you go, I want to leave you with one of my favorite passages from Matthew 29. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you. It's easy and my burden is light.